In this video, we're going to cover application proxy firewall operation. So a client is going to initiate a request, such as an HTTP request, to a server. And because we're dealing with the specific request, we can have a proxy that's associated with it. For example, an HTTP proxy. So this is our application proxy firewall that's going to filter traffic, specifically catered to HTTP traffic. So it's able to manage that and investigate to determine if there's anything that's out of the ordinary that we need to drop. After it's examined this packet, it's going to send that onto the server. And then the server is going to respond, and that traffic is going to get filtered through the same application proxy firewall. And then once it's filtered, it's going to send the examined HTTP response onto the client. We also have other proxies such as FTP or SFTP proxies, SMTP proxies for mail servers, etc. Each of these applications handle specific requests in order to ensure that traffic that is received is what we want to receive pertaining to that type of application. So here's a comparison between the application proxy firewalls and stateful packet inspection firewalls. You'll notice here at the bottom that the speed of application proxy firewalls is slow, and then for stateful packet inspection firewalls is fast. The good thing is that you can use the two of them. So you use the stateful packet inspection firewalls to quickly scan packets and send them through. And then you use the application proxy firewalls for a specific application layer content that comes through. So what protections does an application proxy firewall grant? Well, on the client side, we can have these blacklists, that black URLs of known attack sites. We can also protect against specific scripts embedded in web pages, for example, to protect against cross-site scripting. We can also block certain MIME types, or just think of this as attachments or file types. We can also disable the post of sensitive files. So if you're an organization, you don't want your employees to post sensitive files outside of your network, and so you can disable the sending of those files. For server protections, it disables the post of malicious files. So when a client uploads a file to our server, if we notice that it is a malicious file, we can drop it. Or if it's a certain MIME type that we don't want, we could drop it. We can also protect against SQL injection attacks. And we'll cover SQL injections later with data security. An application proxy also ensures automated protections, such as hiding internal IP addresses, such as destroying headers and passing new headers, because sometimes hackers embed malicious content inside of the headers of packets. We can also ensure protocol fidelity. So if a user is trying to send packets for HTTP traffic, we would know that that's normally through port 80, and anything outside of that we would want to get rid of. Additionally, as part of proxies, we have proxies that can actually cover where our traffic's coming from. So we can use what is called Tor routing. Essentially, when your device is communicating with a web server, it's over an unencrypted link. Not that the traffic's not encrypted, but that where that traffic's coming from is unencrypted. So with Tor routing, we basically remove that and have a directory server that has a list of Tor nodes, as you can see here. And then when I want to communicate with the server, I will communicate through an encrypted path through various Tor nodes. And finally, at the exit node, it's going to have the unencrypted link. I could then go through a different path for another communication. Now, when you sign up for Tor routing, you can choose to add your node as a list of Tor nodes that other people can communicate through. So how do you connect to a web server using Tor routing? You're going to use the Tor browser. So the way that you currently interact with the web is probably through the surface. You're going to interact with Facebook or Pinterest or Amazon or Spotify or whatever sites that you use that are freely accessible on the web. There's also another layer called the deep web, and this is where companies and organizations try to hide information from being publicly accessible. For example, government records, scientific records, academic information, financial records, legal documents, medical records, subscription-only information, and company-specific repositories. And further on, we get down to the dark web. The dark web is going to be accessible via Tor. And here you'll find political protests, drug trafficking, child pornography, malware, and denial of service for sale, or other illegal activities. So I'm not encouraging you to jump onto Tor here. I just wanted you to know that this is accessible here, and there's a lot of dark activity that's happening out there. What's interesting is that the surface web is only 4% of the content that's out there, and the deep web and dark web contain 96% of the other content. So if you want to access some of this, you'll need to install the Tor browser. The Tor browser touts itself as being a good thing, which it can be. I'm not saying it's not, but there definitely is negativity with interacting with the dark web. So if you want to interact with the dark web using the Tor browser, you can follow these instructions in Kali Linux to be able to do this. So pause this video, try this on your own, and come back for discussion. All right, welcome back. So we're going to go over this learning activity. So the first thing that I'm going to do is open up the terminal, and I'm going to install the Tor browser. And I do this using sudo apt install tor browser-launcher. I'll go ahead and enter my password. And since I've already installed this, you'll notice that nothing happened, but you'll see an installation dialog if you run this. So now to open up Tor, I'm going to go ahead and hit the Windows or Mac key and start typing TOR. And we're going to go ahead and select Tor browser. It says Tor browser routes your traffic over the Tor network run by thousands of volunteers around the world. You can say always connect automatically, or you can click connect. So we'll go ahead and click connect here. So to navigate on the Tor browser, we use onion links. Just like an onion has layers, you're going through multiple layers to be able to get to a site. So we're going to go ahead and paste the one from the slide. I'm going to go ahead and run it, and you can see that it goes to the ProPublica website. And if I go to the ProPublica website on my own, it actually loads faster because it doesn't have to go through multiple layers obscuring my IP address. So another thing I'm going to do is go to whatismyipaddress.com. And I'll do the same thing in Firefox as well. You'll notice here that in Firefox, my IP address starts with 97. But if I go back to the Tor browser, you'll notice the IP address is 185.220. So this is definitely going through the Tor network to be able to obscure my IP address. And if I reload it in the Tor browser, you'll notice that the IP address actually changes. But if I go back to Firefox and reload it, you'll notice that I still have the same IP address no matter how many times I reload it. Thanks for watching my video. Feel free to click the links here to watch the next video of the playlist, continue to the next playlist, or subscribe.